How do we know who to trust when doctors say that they've been wrong and they've changed their mind on really critical things before? And even, when we think about vaccine disinformation,
Right.
a lot of the arguments you'll get from the right are that you said this and now look what happened, so we'll never trust you again. How do we navigate and know who to believe, even doctors, when doctors will say information I gave you in the past was actually no longer true?
You have to take the hard route and do the work to find out why they said what they said then and why they're changing their mind now.
So I'll give you an example.
Yep.
Actually, no, maybe this isn't a doctor, this is studies. I remember having a guest on my podcast that talked about, I think there was a bit of a crisis with depression drugs in the early years where
Yep.
they had, because of the way that the tests had been done by the big pharmaceutical companies, the CEO of the pharmaceutical company knew that the depression drug did not work and had all of these side effects, but they pushed it through, even though the vast majority of the studies hadn't shown that the drug worked. They found one study that had, they pushed it through, got to market, loads of kids used it. And then I think a decade later, again, I'm paraphrasing here, I'll link what I'm talking about below. It was discovered that the CEO of that company knew it didn't work, but there was a study and research that got it to market and people started using it. And I think Johan Hari, who's been on my podcast before, he was the Ozempic episode we released. He was one of the people as a young man that started taking that depression drug, only to find out that 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years later, it didn't work. And the CEO knew that it wasn't really working. So that was trust in the medical system. That was trust in research. That was trust in big pharma. Much of the counter movement we're seeing now is we think big pharma is corrupt and we think they're meddling with doctors to get drugs into market that maybe don't work.
There's a lot of drugs on the market.